All right. Greetings, great chance. It's Mr. Shajwari here. Welcome to your favorite channel, which is Back to Basics. Look, so we are using statistics in our everyday life to what? To collect the data, right? So we use it to collect the data. And now, what is it that we do after we've collected the data? Now we do the second part, which is sorting the data, right? Right. For an example, one of the basic things, remember, we can sort things according to their color. We can sort people according to gender and also age or anything like that. Okay. So sorting basically it's when we put whatever group that we have in its correct category, right? And then now after we've sorted this particular data of ours, right? And we can represent these particular data, right? Right. So we can represent this particular data, and there are many things that we can use to represent data. For an example, right? We can, for an example, use our bar graph. Remember the bar graph, right? We can use our bar graph to represent the data. We can use our pie chart. We can use our pie charts. We can use, for an example, our linear graph. We can use our linear graph, right? We can use our linear graph. We can use our histogram, right? Histogram. What else that we can use now? We can also use one thing that we also call our frequency polygon, right? Frequency polygon to actually also represent our particular data, right? And after we've represented this data of ours, there is another step that we do now. We can then interpret the result, right? Interpret these results. For an example, your teacher at school might be taking your result, that you might have done for, let's say, your June exam, and then take these particular marks and then try to understand in terms of which one of the topics where most of you guys as student might have performed worst, or you might have performed the best. Okay. So basically, we are saying statistics, it helps us to make sound decision, right? To make sound decision, because we take this data, we collect it, we sort it, we represent, we interpret, and then after we've interpreted our data, then we make a conclusion, right? We make a conclusion for this particular data. Okay, so we make sound judgment in terms of what is this, what is going to be that. Okay, so that's going to be, on a greater scale, what is going to be the basic understanding of our statistical and right statistics, right? So now we understand that what is statistics and what are some of the significance of statistics. Now let's start by understanding, right? So we are saying under statistics, we are going to have what we call grouped data, right? You are going to have what you call grouped data. You are also going to have what ungrouped data, right? Ungrouped data, right? Ungrouped data, and which is going to be mostly what we are focusing on today, which is going to be the data that is acquired, right? So this is going to be the data that is acquired through counting, right? Through counting, right? So let's say, for an example, your teacher wants to calculate in terms of how many are you in class, right? To know that particular statistic, we need to acquire that through counting. Okay, so that's going to be that one. Then now that's what we are going to be looking at, right? So that's what we are going to be looking at in the most part of this video today. So now, let's say for an example, right? So we are saying, let's say for an example, this you are having a grade, you are having grade 10 A learners, which wrote a test for mathematics, right? Who wrote a test for mathematics, and below it is their results which were recorded, right? Let's say this test was out of 50 marks, right? It was out of 50 marks. Now, let's say this is their data that was collected, right? So, obviously, we have those who might have not prepared well for the test, which we'll be having. Let's say we are having 7, 11, 12. you are having 13, you are having 17, you are having 23, you are having 25, you are having 27, you are having 30, you are having 30, you are having 32, you are having let's say 40, you're having 41, you're having 42, let's say also you're having 45, right? So this is the data of the what of the learners which took a what which took a test which was out of 50. Now, since this is going to be your ungrouped data, now what is it that we can try and understand under ungrouped data? Now, number one, from our ungrouped data, there are a lot of things that we can understand, right? So, which means from this particular data, we can firstly understand this thing which we call our mean, right? Right? Now, and then, the easier way of understanding the mean, our mean, we are saying this is given by what? This is going to be the average of the data, right? The average of the data. And how do we go about to get our mean, right? We are saying we get our mean by doing what? So we are saying in order for us to get the mean, this is going to be the sum, right? The sum of the data, the sum of the data divide by what? This is going to be divided by what? This is going to be divided by the total of the data, right? The total of the data. And now what is it that you're going to do now? Sum of the data, it's going to be what, right? In easier way, your sum of the data, it's going to be when you take your 7, you say 7 plus 11 plus 12 plus 13 plus 17 plus 23 plus 25 plus 27 plus 30 plus 30 plus 32 plus 40 plus 41 plus your 42 and also your 45. Now that's going to be what? That's going to be the sum of the data. And then now when we speak of the total of the data, now you're going to say how many data do you have here? So you're having 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? So this is going to be divided by 15. Can you see that, right? So which means now, for you to get the average of this data, you are going to divide everything by 15, right? So, and when you are adding the data, what is it that you are going to have now? Let's see. So if you are plugging all these values in our calculator, let me just plug them quickly, right? If you are plugging all these values, now you are going to get the sum or the sum of this particular data, right? And the sum of this data in this now in this particular example, it's going to be what? Let's see, this is going to be plus 42, plus, then the last one, it's what? It's 45, right? It's 45. Then the sum of this particular data, it's going to be same as 365. This is 365, and this is going to be divided by what? It's going to be divided by 15, right? So this is 365 divided by 15. And now the average of this data, it's going to be what? It's going to be 24,33, right? So that's going to be what? That's going to be the average of this particular data. Oh, it's good. So when we say we want you to find out the mean of the data, we just want you to find the average. And the average, we acquire it by what? By adding all this data and also dividing by what? By the total of it. Okay. Now let's look at more things that we can find out from this particular data. Okay. Now, the second thing that we can find out from this data is that is what we call, look at me wiping the data, right? It's what we call now our median, right? Now, let me just remove this now and you know find out what is going to be your median, right? So we are saying there is what we call your median of the data. And our median of the data, or what we regard as our median, it's basically what? It's our middle term, right? It's the middle term, right? So it's going to be the middle term of this particular data. And how do you then go about finding out the middle term of this data, right? Luckily, firstly, you can see that this particular data of ours is going to what? It's odd, right? And when we say it's odd, right, these are numbers that consist of only what? A factor which is 1 and also itself, right? Now, so this one it's going to be odd. So if you are looking for the middle term, right? The middle term here, it's going to be what? Now we are going to start by counting here. It's going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The eighth term, right? Let's start up from this side. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The eighth term, which means the middle term from this particular data, it's going to what? It's going to be 27. Altogether, it's going to be 27. And now the middle term of this, it gives you the 50% of this particular data, right? It gives you the 50% of this data, right? And sometimes we can require this, we can regard this as our Q2, right? Sometimes they want it to be what? To be our Q2, right? But one thing that I want us to know is that our middle term, it is regarded as a what? As the 50% of the data. And now, from the 50% of the data, we can still also have what? We can obviously find out what is going to be the 25% of the data, can we? Yes, definitely we can be. We can do that. And that one, when we are looking for that, it is what we call our lower, right? We also have this thing which is called lower quartile, right? And our lower quartile, in simple sense, we are saying this is the 25% of the data altogether, which is going to be what? The half after what? After the median, right? The first half after the median. And sometimes we regard this as our Q1. And what is going to be the lower quartile of this particular data, right? Now that we have found out what is going to be the median term, right? Or the middle term, then we can come back to the data and say, now, what value are you left with? It is important to take note that now, since we've already regarded our 27 as our middle term, we are now no longer going to consider it in this data, right? In this data that is found on the left or on the right, whenever we are looking for the lower quartile or the upper quartile, right? So which means our counting is going to be starting from 7, 11, 12, 13, 17, 23, and also 25 only, right? And when we are looking at what is that you're going to do? So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? You are having 7 term, which means now the fourth, this particular term, which is the fourth term, right? This particular term, it is going to what? It's going to be the 25% of this data. Can you see that? It's going to be the 25% of this data, which means now your 13, in this case, your 13 is going to be the 25% of this particular data, because we said this was what was the 50% of this data. Okay. And then now from here, then we can come back on this one, right? We can also obviously look at the 75th percentage of this data, which is what we call our upper quartile, right? So we are saying the upper quartile, it represents the 75% of the data. It's also regarded as our Q3, right? And then now, which means our upper quartile in this case is going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So which means the middle term from these 7 term, it's going to what? It's going to be the 40, right? So which means now here you are going to have what? You are going to have 40, which is going to be the upper quartile of this particular data altogether. And now that we understand that, right? Now that we understand this one, which is going to be the 75th percentage of the data, there are a lot of things that we can understand, right? We can also, understand what we regard as our range, right? And we are saying the range, it is the maximum value of the data subtract the minimum value of the stage, right? And what is going to be your maximum value of this data? The maximum value of this data, which is, it's going to be the highest value of this data, and the lowest value of the data, it's going to be 7, right? So which means this is going to be same as 45 subtract what? 45 subtract 7, right? And when you are saying 45 subtract 7, you are going to get your what? You're going to get your 38 altogether. So this is going to be 38, which means the range of this particular data, it is given by 38. Are we fine, right? And after finding out the range of this data, then we can find out now what is called our interquartile range, which is going to be IQR. And IQR, we are saying this is inter, this Q, it's quartile, and then the R represents your what? Represents your range. Oh, ticket. And now your interquartile range, you are finding it from your value of your Q3 subtract your what? Your Q1, right? And luckily we have these particular values, which is your Q3 and also your Q1. All together. And the value of your Q3, it's given by what? The value of our Q3 was given by, we said the value of our Q3 was given by our 40. So this is going to be same as 40. Subtract what is your Q1? Your Q1 was given by 13 altogether. And then when you say your 14, subtract your 13, what is it that you're going to have now from here? This is going to be same as your 27 altogether. And then now that is going to what? That is going to be the interquartile range of this particular date, right? So which means now we have the mean, the minimum value, which is 7. We have your Q1, which is which is 13. We have your Q2, which is also regarded as your median, which is going to be 27, right? We have our what? We have our Q3, and our Q3 we said the value of our Q3 it's given by 40. Our Q3 we are saying it's given by what? It's given by Q3. It's given by your 40. And your maximum value, it is given by what? It is given by 45. And now that we have this, right? Now we have this. Now there is last concept that we haven't covered, which is going to be what? Which is going to be the mode of this particular data. Okay. And when we speak of mode, mode in simple word, we are saying mode, it's the most appearing, right? It's the most appearing number, right? It's the most appearing number. Once again, so therefore, when we speak of mode, basically it's going to what? Now we are saying the number that mostly appears on this particular data of ours, it is what? It is 30 and 30 altogether. So which means the 30 here, it's going to what? It's going to be our mode. Now, we can say, we are also saying we can represent this particular data in a what? In a visual mediation, which is what we call our box and whisker diagram, right? But before we can do our box and whisker diagram, we need to firstly do what we call our 5-number summary, right? Right. And when we speak of 5-number summary, right? We speak of 5-number summary. It's this particular number here, right? It's 5-number summary. And then the 5-number summary, it's basically when you write your minimum value, your Q1, your Q2, your Q3, and also your maximum value, right? And I am saying these particular values, they help us to draw what we call your box and whisker, right? Your box and whisker diagram, right? Your box and whisker diagram. And now from here, what is it then that we can do? In order for us to draw a box and whisker diagram, what is it that we do? Number one, we need a scale, right? So when we take off a scale, we need a scale or our number line, right? So let's say now our number line start from here. Let me just try and make it to be accurate, right? So we are saying, let's say we are make it to be out of 5, right? We are saying this is 5, this is 10, this is 15, this is 20, this is 25, let's say this is 30, this is 35, let's say this is your 40, this is your 45, and let's say this one, it's going to be our 50 altogether. Now, this is going to be our number line, right? I've tried to draw it accurately, right? Because in order for us to draw the box and whisker diagram, we definitely need our what? We definitely need our number line. And how do we then go about drawing the box and whisker diagram? It's absolutely easy, right? You are going to start by saying, what is the minimum value? The minimum value is 7, right? And from our scale, we can note that our 7 is probably found somewhere here, right? Our 7, it's probably found somewhere here. And our Q1, what is going to be the value of our Q1? The Q1 we are saying is 13, and 13, it's almost somewhere here next to the 15. So the value of our Q1, it's going to be somewhere here. And then you go to our Q2. Our Q2, we are saying this is 27, right? This is going to be 27, and 27 is somewhere here, right? 27, it's going to be almost somewhere here. And our Q3 is given by what? It is given by 40, and our 40 is exactly here. And our what? And our maximum value, it's going to be found where? It's going to be found in here altogether, which is in 45. And now that we've drawn this, we are then now going to come back and what? And just connect this line, right? Just connect this line. We also come back here and we want to connect to this line, right? Let's say we connect to this line, right? And now this is going to be our box and whisker diagram, right? This is going to be our box and whisker diagram. And we are saying our box and whisker diagram, it's going to be this one, right? Whereby here it is given by your minimum value. Here it is given by your Q1. Here it's given by Q2. Here it's given by Q3. And here it's going to be given by your maximum value. Look at me, I almost wrote Q4, which is going to be our maximum value. Okay, so these are the very basic things that we need to understand whenever we are looking at what? Whenever we are looking at our what? At our statistics, or rather ungrouped data. Okay, and now from here, then there is one last aspect that we can look at now. As soon as we have these particular data, we can then discuss what we is called the skewedness of data altogether. And now when we talk of the skewedness of the data, we are definitely just looking at these two parts, right? We are saying from these two parts, which part it's having what? It's going to be greater in length between these two parts, right? And the best way of doing that is to basically just to say, what is the difference between your Q2 and also your minimum value, right? So remember your Q2 was 27. So you are saying 27 subtract, let's say you are saying 27 subtract 13. Here, which means the difference here, it's 14. And after that, you are saying the other one, it's what? It's 40. You say 40 subtract what? You say 40 subtract 27. When you say 40 subtract 27, what is it that you're going to have here? Here you are going to have what? You are going to have 13. So which side between the two have the greater space, right? It's obviously, as you are looking at your screen, you can see that it's going to be the left-hand side that is having the greater space, right? So which means this particular data of ours is therefore going to be skewed, right? It's going to be skewed to the left, right? It's going to be skewed to the left, right? So basically, that's what we do when we speak of statistics and when you speak of ungrouped data. These are some of the basic fundamental things that you need to know from your grade 10. Hopefully, all of this makes sense. And thank you very much for watching this entire video. Thank you.